Chinese leader Xi Jinping plans to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow on Monday. It will be Xi's first trip to Russia since the country invaded Ukraine last year and is aimed at promoting bilateral ties between the two countries. The trip is scheduled to last 2 days. According to a statement from Beijing, the visit will be a journey of friendship, cooperation, and peace. China has been trying to position itself as a neutral party following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. But in the past, China has repeated Russian propaganda, such as accusing NATO and the United States of provoking Moscow into taking action. For more on what to expect from the meeting between the Russian and Chinese leaders, our reporter Jaime Ocon spoke to Matthew Sussex, a security analyst with the Griffith Asia Institute based in Sydney, Australia.
Can you talk about the significance of this trip?
Yeah, look, it's very significant that Xi is going to Moscow to visit Putin on a number of levels. The first level, I think, is to, send a note of reassurance to the government in Russia that Beijing continues to provide, a degree of support for Russia's position, if not the actual invasion of Ukraine, then Russia's position vis-a-vis NATO, vis-a-vis the United States, and so on. So Beijing has quite consistently provided that rhetorical support to the Kremlin. And the question is now whether or not that translates into something a little bit more formal and a bit more material. There have been some reports over about the last 48 hours that China has been engaged in sending body armor and even small arms to Russia. Now, that's probably not the game changer that many would think about when they look at whether China is abandoning the sort of straddle diplomacy between the West and Russia. But nonetheless, I think it's a fairly significant development.
What is Beijing trying to accomplish with this trip? Is it trying to take steps towards brokering a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine?
It depends very much as to how far Xi is prepared to go in propping up Putin and propping up this frankly failing war, which will be, I think, a test of the robustness of the sort of no-limits partnership between Moscow and Beijing. I think Beijing very much wants to sell its 12-point peace plan, and that basically has carrots and sticks for all sides. It's got sticks for Russia with the expectation from China that nuclear weapons won't be used, that nuclear power plants will be kept safe, but also having a stab at the United States by saying the formation of blocs is unhealthy, sanctions should be wound back, and so forth. So at the very least, this is a document from Beijing to cement Russia's control over large portions of Ukraine. So now that's what's going on behind the scenes. In terms of the optics of it, I think Beijing is probably looking to kickstart a little bit of international enthusiasm in its peace plan because it was received in a decidedly lukewarm way.
What does this say that China's President Xi Jinping is going to visit an indicted war criminal?
Yeah, well, I mean, an objective assessment on whether, China should get more heavily involved in the war on Ukraine on, by, for instance, arming Russia, an objective assessment would say that's not in Beijing's interests. But Xi Jinping has cultivated this sort of personal relationship with Vladimir Putin and seems to be placing a fair bit of store by it. Seems to think that, very much the alignment between China and Russia, at least on the core broad goals of resisting what they see as American hegemony, resisting bloc politics, NATO expansion, and so forth. That's something worth making a lot of noise about, and he continues to do so. So I don't think that we necessarily should look through the prism of our own interests and the way that we would go about these types of relationships when looking at what Xi actually wants to get out of the partnership.